For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. For everyone else, welcome back. We have finished the month of June, and it is time to kind of do a quick recap of what I read during the month. Now, June, I participated in the Amazing Readathon, Next Stop Everywhere, which was a Doctor Who themed readathon. I had an amazing time. With that being said, I read 19 books this month. And none of us want to sit here while I talk about each and every book that I read during the month of June. If you're curious about any of them, I would say look through my vlogs for the Amazing Readathon and get a little more detail there. But overall, I had an amazing reading month. I don't think I've read this many books in a month since April of 2020 when the world shut down. So let's jump into what I did read and some of my stats. Alright, so first up, let's go over a few stats. I read 19 books during the month of June and a total of 6,092 pages. With that, I was so surprised at how great of a reading month I had. I read 7 books that I gave 5 stars to. 4 were standalones, 2 were the start of a series, and 1 was the end of a series. And I really am just completely flabbergasted at how much I read and how much I enjoyed my reading this month. So let's kind of recap with this. I finished 3 series this month, which, if you know, that's kind of been one of my goals lately. Is I will start series and either forget about them, or I will kind of nurse them along and not want to finish them. I have a serial problem with finishing series. I don't like to end in that world. But I did finish 3 series this month. I finished the Haven Ever After series by reading the final 3 books this month. I finished the Grave Glen series by reading 2 of those books. And then I finished the Hannah Hall series as far as it's released. I feel like that's a completed series now, but I don't know if the author is going to eventually re-release or eventually write more in this world. As I said, it seems very much that Laura Dave kind of wrapped that series up with what was going on with Hannah's life. But while I finished 3 series, I started 4. I started the Shield of Sparrows trilogy. I started the Strata Wars series, which is actually continuing in the Cosmere overall series. I started Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I started the Baby Dragon series. I'm not sure what this really means for my overall wrapping up series, if I am just continuing to add new series on. I also continued the Heartstrings series this month, and I had 2 series that I read 1 book in them, and I don't think I'm going to continue with these. And those are the novellas. I randomly checked or borrowed from Audible or bought from Audible, I don't remember, one called The Library Cat is Actually a Prince. It was a cute title. The title caught my attention, and while overall it's a cute idea for a story, I just feel that the book could have done with a little more editing to make it a more cohesive story. Again, though, this is a novella, and that is one thing I did notice this month is the 2 novellas that I read were actually my lowest rated books for the month, and I'm wondering if that's more of a me issue than that I don't do well with novellas. But with that being said, I also read 6 standalones, and as I said, 4 of those standalones got 5 stars, and I just had a wonderful time. So with those stats out of the way, let's look at a few of the books that I did read for the month of June. Alright, so for the Amazing Readathon, I had 8 books, or 8 legs of books, and here's what I read for each of the legs. In leg 1, we had a book recommended on book 2, and for this one I read Shield of Sparrows, and I gave this one 5 stars. I enjoyed this book so very much. The world building in it was amazing, and I loved, while I foresaw one of the twists, I loved that there were more twists throughout the book that I was not expecting. It just really added to the story and made it, I think, had the other twists not been there, I might have given this book lower than 5 stars, but it did make me ready to start Rites of the Starling, which is my goal for July. So Shield of Sparrows, just an amazing story, and I had a wonderful time with it. In leg 2, we had a book you don't own, and for that one I went Victory for Vampires. This one was continuing the Haven Ever After series, and this one was a novella. While I enjoy the world of Ever, I found that this one was not really, it was not my favorite of the series. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I really truthfully, I kind of struggled with this one because while there was a plot line to it, it really felt like it was just written for the smut, and it took a lot of what I loved about the Haven Ever After series, and just washed out all the parts that I loved. It was, like I said, a great story. It was nice to see. It was nice to see some of the characters that we know get their happily ever after, but it needed more plot, in my opinion. So I gave that one 3.5 stars. As I said, that was a novella, and the 2 novellas I read for the month were my lowest rating. And just, it didn't hit home like the other Haven Ever After books. In leg 3, I did, leg 3 was preposition in the title, and I read Songs of the Dead by Brandon Sanderson and Peter Aurelian. This book is the first in the Strata Wars series. I think that one's going to be a trilogy, but it is all in the Cosmere. This one was really neat because it kind of tied our universe, planet Earth, into the Cosmere, and gave just a richer storyline. This one I also gave 5 stars. I don't know that I have ever given a Brandon Sanderson less than 5 stars. While his stories kind of start out with a lot of world building, once everything starts happening, you are pulled in and you do not want to put the book down, or at least I don't. And that seems to be a very common feeling among Brandon Sanderson fans. So, leg 3, 5 stars, and again, I had such a great time with Songs of the Dead. For leg 4, we had more than one POV, right? No, that's not right. It contains a holiday. I don't have them in my bullet journal. I didn't write down what each of the legs were, so I got mixed up for a second. But leg 4 involves a holiday, and for this one I read The Wedding Witch. This was the 3rd book in the Graves Glen series, and it was so cute. I did give that one, I want to say I gave that one 4.25 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought that the time travel in it was a lot of fun, but I have noticed this month that romance, for the most part, contemporary or historical romance are not hitting it out of the park for me. But fully had a great time with this one. Being able to see how these characters all came together, and the Back to the Future feel of possibly writing people out of the picture was kind of an interesting vibe in this. As I said, I had a fun time with this. I might have enjoyed it more had I been immersive reading a little bit more with this one, instead of just the audiobook, but I did have a great time with it, and the audio was well done. For leg 5, we had this one I did. I wrote the caretaker down for leg 5, which was supposed to be isolated setting. Yes, and I did do the caretaker for that one. I originally was reading Behind Closed Doors for this one. Yeah. But it didn't, or I was going to read Behind Closed Doors for this one, and the setting wasn't isolated enough. The main character was isolated, but the story was not isolated. And so, while originally I was going to do Behind Closed Doors for that one, I did get the caretaker and made that and did the caretaker for that one. That one was by Marcus Kluwer. This was another 5-star read. I had such a fantastic time with this. Marcus Kluwer has written We Used to Live Here and now The Caretaker, and both books have this horror thriller type vibe in it. Both books did have isolated settings in them, which just really, like, it feels that that's Marcus Kluwer's niche as far as writing. With The Caretaker, this one and what I read for leg 7 had kind of similar themes, but the execution and where the plot went were vastly different. The Caretaker, we have our main character has become the caretaker for a house, and there are all these rules she has to follow, and the way that Marcus Kluwer just really tied everything together and ended the book. Like, the book ends and you aren't even sure what's gonna happen next. I really enjoyed this one, and I have been recommending this one quite a bit to other readers because of how much I enjoyed this one. For leg 6, this one was more than one point of view. Originally, I was going to do Making Out with Mermaids for that, but ended up using that one as a sightseeing and used The Gilded Wolves for more than one POV. This one is a YA heist novel, and while I didn't mind the book, it was not one of my favorites. And this one was one of the series that I will not be continuing in the future. As I said, I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but I kept having times when I wasn't as drawn in as I would have liked to be. And had this one not been going on during the face-off weekend for the readathon, I don't think I would have finished it. But I did give it 4 stars. If you enjoy YA novels, this one probably will be right up your alley. I'm finding that I am not enjoying YA as much, and a lot of that is because I am no longer in that target audience. And because I'm not in that target audience, as I'm looking at some of the things, I'm finding flaws that the maturity of life has just changed how I perceive it. So overall, Leg 6, not a horrible read, but not a series that I'm going to continue. Leg 7 was a building on the cover, and for this one I read the only one left, which was another 5-star read for me. This Riley Sager, just really similar to Marcus Kluwer, knows their niche for writing and really leans into it. This one had twists and turns, and there were some things that I started to pick up on and wonder about, but throughout the novel there was one twist that I thought was coming, and it did eventually come, but not when I thought it would. Really enjoyed this one. As I said, I gave it 5 stars and had an absolute blast with it. The audio for this one, again, was amazing. And that leads to Leg 8, which was a book with mental health representation. And for this, I read Done and Dusted. We have our main character has ADHD, and along with that is dealing with the fact that life is not exactly going how she expected it. She is dealing with some depression along with some PTSD in it from falling off of her horse and trying to overcome the mental roadblocks that she has. Really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.25 stars. This one I do not have a vlog for, just because it was only a couple days or a couple books for that final one, and I did not have enough really to put a vlog together for that one, but really enjoyed it. Our main character is a barrel racer, and in one of her events she has an accident, falls off her horse, and really is struggling with that, with her feelings toward the accident, along with knowing that things aren't quite right. And she's seeing some of those signs as she looks back. But really cute novel if you're looking for a great summer romance. lighthearted read, this one would be great for that. So there are the 8 legs. The only book that I didn't talk about with that is This Story Might Save Your Life. This one I read for a sightseeing, and this was another one of the 5-star reads I had, and I had so much fun with this. I really enjoyed the dual POV that was in it, along with the dual timelines, and just this one blew my socks off. If you haven't seen this one or heard anyone talk about it, I really recommend that you give it a shot. And because it is a thriller, be careful how much you read about it. I would say the things you need to know if you're going to the things you need to know going in is it is a friend, 2 friends who do a podcast together called This Story Might Save Your Life, and they hit a point where we have one timeline going forward and one timeline starting from way back. We have the male best friend, Benny, is the current POV. He's trying to figure out what has happened to his best friend Joy, who one morning he goes to her house to record and a window is broken. She and her husband are missing, and he's going forward looking at, or we're following his timeline going from there. And then we have Joy's timeline, which is her memoir. And so we're starting further back from where she and Benny met and moving forward through to present day. And we get to see that things aren't the way that she has presented them. I really enjoyed the twists and turns in this. A really good novel, and if you're looking for a possible 5-star read, this one I would say would help out in getting you there. I will say that June was a incredible reading month. 19 books, over 6,000 pages read, and looking at my original pile of possibilities for the Amazing Readathon, I picked 8 books that I wanted that fit the prompts for the Amazing Readathon, and read 7 of those books. Most of them I did read in the leg that I planned, although there were 3 of those books that I used for sightseeing and filled in other books in those spots, and one that I didn't even do, and that's okay too. I am just floored again at how much I read, how much I enjoyed what I read, and I am looking forward to seeing what the month of July is going to bring for my reading, and really hoping that assault is not in my future. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.